Yep, we all been here before. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and Stanley mode is kicking your ass, and you're debating your entire life existence simply because you thought, hey, it seemed like a good idea to go ahead and platinum this game that you are highly enjoying. What's up, everybody? My name's AmandaPlays93, and in today's fantastic, wonderful video, we are here to platinum all of Resident Evil 9. Now, during my first initial game playthrough, I went ahead and got a few of the more or less easier trophies to get on your first playthrough if you're kind of paying attention. And let me go ahead and throw out the list of the things I've done, especially if you're looking for a particular trophy on this list. Let me go ahead and help you out and kind of just show you the random ones I picked up on my first go through.
Gimme. I will burn this whole city to the ground. Alright, we'll shoot Mr. Raccoon. Oh, that was easy. I'm a natural born scientist. Fantastic. Can't I make this? Ah! Gotcha! Oh, beautiful. Seriously? Even though we got the abbreviation for it, the whole world's gonna be set on fire, Leon.
Before even starting the first run, I went ahead into 2 different save files to go ahead and get 3 different trophies that I could grab pretty easily, which were Bang for Your Buck, Bloodlust, and Credit Where Credit is Due. Now, Bang for Your Buck, I should have got during my first initial playthrough, but I just didn't think about lining up a perfect shot with a Requiem, so I took care of that. And for Bloodlust and Credit Where Credit is Due, I literally just went to a save file, did what I had to do in the menu to either get the blood or to get the credits, and then just reset the save file and just did that over and over again until the trophy popped. Now, moving on to the actual run, my main focus here was on the files itself because I was missing 2 from Wynwood, 4 from Rose Hill, and 2 from Raccoon City. And not only are we looking for the files, but like I said, we're also looking for the Mr. Raccoons. Luckily, I already got all the Mr. Raccoons from Rose Hill, so we don't have to look for them there. I know for a fact I'm missing, I think, about 3 or 4 from Raccoon City. Luckily, I went ahead, picked up the little tracking thing on the credit points that you can get to help me find the Mr. Raccoons in Raccoon City. So hopefully that makes my job a little bit easier. Unfortunately, what didn't make my gameplay easier was the way I sadly played during this initial playthrough. And the reason I say that is because of 2 things. One, about halfway through the game, I realized my first mistake, which was I forgot to skip the cutscenes. Because I was still recording footage for a Let's Make a Movie for Resident Evil 9, I completely forgot that the cutscenes count as time towards the actual gameplay. So I didn't think about it till about halfway through the game when my runtime was already screwed up. The second thing that really ate my time up was I decided to set myself up for the final puzzle situation because I did look up how to do it and I wanted to go ahead and do it so I could get the credits so I could say, hey, I did it. So yeah, that ate up a lot of my time, unfortunately. So that is why the Speed Demon trophy did not pop for this one because I think the actual gameplay itself took about 5.5 hours. That was definitely an hour and a half over the initial time we needed to complete the game. So that was my bad, guys. My bad. So with that explanation out the way, let's go ahead and dive on into some of the gooder shit of this run.
I do
Sorry, Grace. I said let's skip to the gooder shit, not the traumatizing shit. So getting into the initial run, the first thing I did was go ahead and collect the 2 pieces of file evidence I didn't collect, which happened to be this file evidence that Grace was given at the beginning of the game during that cutscene, and this map that's all the way down here. I don't know why this map is important, but we needed it for this challenge, and with that, we got all of Wynwood out the way, and we move on to Rose Hill now. So getting into Rose Hill, I thought this should be a piece of cake. Should be the magical word of the day, and unfortunately, the girl's AI still ceases to amazes me and still throws me off every time I play this section of the game. I don't know what it is about her AI, but it is too damn sophisticated sometimes. It really is. Could I play this section better? Probably. Did I have a good time while playing it? Oh, absolutely. I always have a good time playing this section. But enough with hanging out with Grace. Let's see what our homeboy Leon's up to. I guess the doctor appointment's going very well. So after getting my homeboy Leon through this section and watching him get creepily assaulted by Gideon, I easily maneuvered Grace around the section by using the knife and getting her all the way up to the point that she had the tier 1 wristband. And with that, we get to our first file that we have to pick up, which is conveniently this sign. I don't know why this sign is so important, but this sign was so important that we had to pick it up and read about it. And once we took care of the sign and dealt with the bulldozer and all that fun jazz, we ran over to the blood lab and took the level 1 wristband and opened up the storage locker area where, unfortunately, I don't have the footage, but there is a note I did pick up during this particular run. I don't know what happened to the footage. Well, I kind of do, but I kind of don't. Let me explain real quick. Basically, during the Insanity run, I went crazy at one point and unintentionally deleted a whole bunch of videos because I was starting to get angry. Again, I'll explain more once we get to the Insanity run, but yeah, I feel like I may have accidentally deleted it during one of my trigger fests during the Insanity run mode. And I don't have the footage. I unfortunately don't have the footage, but it is there. It's right here in this corner. Here's a little arrow. It's back here. Hopefully that helps you out. I'm sorry I don't have the footage. It's just, that Insanity mode really made me crazy. I cannot wait to talk about that, but let's keep on moving. So moving on with the rest of the game, we pretty much wiped the floor in this last section as Grace. Then we unfortunately had to sit down and watch Leon get fondled by Gideon again, which made everybody in the room except Gideon uncomfortable. And once we were free, me and Leon decided to destroy every single zombie out in this entire area because I was too creeped out by Gideon.
My cardio for the week.
So coming back over to Grace in the basement section, the only things we really had to focus on was A, grabbing this file over here since I completely forgot to grab it in my initial run, and B, setting up the final puzzle, which, didn't really take all that long at all. It was just trying to find something to do for 15 minutes while I wait. But after waiting the 15 minutes, we went ahead, went through the whole grinder section, and then figured out at the very end that we actually did it right once we pulled the lever because it told me that there was a lot more blood than usual. So I felt pretty good moving forward in this section and continued on all the way up to the point where we left the basement section and we got the hand. So that means for sure we did it correctly. Thank God for that. I did not want to wait any more time. So to carry on with the secret puzzle, I wound up going back to the safe room, putting poor Emily down, doing what I had to do in there with moving the hand over and all that fun jazz. Then ran to the bathroom, flushed the first stall toilet 8 times. I think it had to do something with a file that you found in the beginning of the game, and there's like a dead officer, and he points out an 8 on the bathroom stall or some bullshit like that. I don't know where they came up with this idea for this puzzle, but it was very convoluted as hell. Point is, I flushed the toilet, and we carried on with life. So once we left the care center, we ran to the coolest pilot out there, then made our way down into this particular building over here to our right. I don't know what the name of this building is, but it's a building nonetheless that we had to go through to grab some helicopter keys. And while we're in this building, we wound up picking up part of the solution to the final puzzle, and we also picked up this last piece of file that we needed in this section. So that is everything done here, and 2 more left to go in Raccoon City, specifically in the RPD section. So we don't actually have to search the city, just the RPD section. But I digress. The point is, we grabbed the file, watched Gideon have a good laugh, ran on through all the chaos and grabbed the Maria doll that we needed, and then fled for our lives, and unfortunately met the tragic end to one of my favorite characters that I only met for 2 seconds. R.I.P. Hashtag justice for you, man, because it was so unfair. It was so unfair that you were taken way too soon from us. After wiping our tears and dramatically getting through all the craziness that's there at the church and in the basement and all that fun jazz, we move on to Raccoon City. And here's where I realized that there was still one more trophy I had to get. I completely forgot about it because I was so hyper-focused on the no crafting ability trophy that we had to get that I didn't realize until this moment that it was specifically tailored to Grace. So it was perfectly all right for Leon to craft stuff. So because of that, I went ahead and decided to wrap up the Master Craftsmanship trophy that I completely forgot about, because apparently I only did 7 out of 9 of the initial things. Turns out it was 2 of the bullets I forgot to craft. And also, while I was in Raccoon City, another trophy I forgot to mention that I didn't grab was the BSAA opening container trophy. I completely forgot about that because there was one in particular I never picked up. Luckily, I went ahead, went back for it, grabbed it, and I grabbed a Mr. Raccoon that I completely was missing. So it was a win-win overall to me at the end of the day. So after surveying the area, making sure I grabbed all the Mr. Raccoons, I quickly wrapped up this area by grabbing the rest of the detonating pieces, blowing up the bridge, and then racing Victor to the RPD building. Now, we all know that our homeboy Leon won. We don't know how he won because we know his track record when it comes to driving, but somehow he made it to RPD in one piece, and we carried on with living.
Should have worn a helmet.
Now, as we carried on with living into the RPD building, we grabbed this important file right here, which was the second to last file that I needed to complete this trophy. I don't know why it was so important, but we went ahead and grabbed it. And once we grabbed this file, we ran all the way up to the library, grabbed the jack, proceeded on to the next section, which I quickly ran through. It's very easy, barely an inconvenience to be honest, especially once you figure out the speedrunning strat to get through this section. It is no problem. Don't get me wrong, on the first playthrough, very, very scary. Every playthrough after, it's kind of annoying because it slows me down. And once we were done with that, we then had the greatest intro ever to ever exist out there. I mean, I thought Undertaker coming back after all that time was the greatest intro ever. No, no, no. This intro right here is the greatest intro ever.
Mr. Kennedy, I had a feeling you'd make an appearance. Sorry, but I don't have time to spare.
Give it to you. Wait for you to get it on your own. X gon' deliver to you. Knock, knock, open up the door, it's real. With the non-stop pop out and stainless steel.
Have fun.
After leaving Mr. X behind and having a fangirl moment, we went ahead and picked up the last piece of file evidence we needed to complete this trophy. And I'm so glad to get this scavenger hunt done. Now, leaving RPG, I went ahead and turned left to the garage and grabbed Ada's keychain because I'm going to be frank, I kind of ran right by this whole section in my first playthrough. Leaving out of RPG and heading over towards the gun shop, we found our last Mr. Raccoon tucked away in this alleyway, conveniently next to an umbrella billboard, which I thought was hilarious. I'm not even going to deny that. I thought that was funny. Feeling energized after collecting that trophy, I made a good run time through Mr. X, but unfortunately, this is around that moment I realized that I was watching all the cutscenes and the Speed Demon trophy was just out of my grasp because at this point, I was not going to turn around. And yeah, I could have done a second playthrough on casual for the Speed Demon trophy, but you know what? I didn't want to do that. I had my plan, I was set out to do it, so I was going to do it one way or another. Whether it killed me or not, I was going to do this. Now, once we got done with the Mr. X boss fight, Leah and I proceeded to move our happy asses towards the orphanage and down into the tunnel so we could deal with the plant and her bitch-ass babies, which we took care of pretty easily. We basically made mincemeat out of them. Now, making our way to the lab, I'm going to be 100% real, guys. Nothing crazy or out of the ordinary happened here being on casual mode. We swept through this entire level with no problems and wrapped up the game in a pretty decent fashion. I'm not going to deny that.
This time, you ain't getting back up.
And with that last ding from the ping of the trophy, that means our second playthrough of Resident Evil 9 is completely done. And I have to say, not too bad. I feel kind of stupid that I forgot about 2 trophies and then luckily remembered about halfway through that I was probably going to have to do those. But we got a lot taken care of during the second initial playthrough. I'm going to be 100% honest. I was super excited moving on into the next playthrough. I just wasn't prepared for the crazy bullshit that was going to be laid upon my feet because I thought I had this since the get-go, and boy, did insanity mode prove me wrong. Now, before we get started on the Insanity run, let's go back and finish the final puzzle and get 2 more trophies I can get here in the menu. So, going back to the final puzzle, I forgot to make a mention about this earlier, but I did save at this specific point in time. Shortly after I got the hand from the elevator and right before I left, I specifically saved here so I can come back to this very section. So once I got back in, I grabbed everything from the inventory that I needed, which was the hand the Maria doll, took Emily, ran upstairs, and put in the code that was needed to get the giggle. There is a convoluted step on figuring out the solution to this puzzle with grabbing the hourglass and a couple of other like numbers that are hanging around, a few notes and stuff like that. It was just so confusing and so convoluted. Like, don't get me wrong, Resident Evil is known to be crazy with their puzzles, but this one just takes the cake. I don't know if this was a real treat or a real tragedy here. I have no idea, but we did get it done. And once we got that all taken care of, we went over here to the concept art and bought everything, and with the models as well, we bought everything, and it took a gander at it so we can go ahead and unlock Monomania and the Curator. Which I will say, guys, go ahead and take a look at some of these visual art pieces because they're kind of cool. I'm not going to deny that. But enough chit-chat and all that fun jazz. Let's go ahead and move over to something I am very excited to get into, which is the Insanity Speed Run. And let me explain how I fucked everything up. So I knew going into this insanity mode, it was going to be rough because it is insanity mode after all. But I made it 10 times rougher on myself personally because of the speed demon trophy. I do not do well under pressure, okay? I do not do well under time pressure. Let me reframe that. I do not like being under time constraints and being told I have to finish something within X amount of time because I'm a perfectionist. I can get something done. It may take me some time and it may not be in the time that you want, but I will get it done. But unfortunately, this is insanity mode and I can't really do both, if that makes sense. Like, I can't be perfect with insanity mode and do the speed demon trophy at the same time and be good on both ends. So I had to make some compromises, and one of the compromises I wound up doing to save me some time is infinite ammo.
Oh, fuck. I can't believe you've done this.
Now, I can already hear the comments down below yelling at me going, you didn't really play insanity mode, you used a handicap, you did this, you did that, blah, blah, blah. We know how the community is when it comes to Resident Evil, and I do not know why the community is like this, but there is a split where there are some people out there, this is not the entire community, by the way, but there are some people in the community who frown upon using infinite ammo and for some reason think you're a bitch if you use it. And I'm gonna be 100% real with you guys. If I'm a bitch, then I'm a bitch for using it because it's in the game. I earned the right to use it because I earned the points to use it. So if I am using it and that makes me a bitch, well then, like I said, I guess I'm a bitch then. So jumping into insanity mode, the first 3 things I messed up on was A, I was so hyper focused on the speed demon trophy that I kind of just ran through by a lot of shit. Like, I didn't pick up a lot of shit. I didn't really worry about a lot of shit, mainly because I had infinite ammo. So I feel like that would save me a little bit of time if I just didn't worry about certain aspects. Who would have thought that would have come bite me in the ass later on? The second thing I messed up on was on, I want to say 3 different occasions, I accidentally hit continue instead of loading up on my previous save file. So that ended up adding more time to, the run itself. So I was trying my best on that one, but sometimes I just got so frustrated, I ended up just hitting continue instead of loading up. And yeah, that ended up screwing me up a couple of times. And the last thing that really screwed me up was I tried to do several tricks and glitches like the speed runners, and some of them worked. Don't get me wrong. I finally got some of them to actually work, and it helped me pay off some sections and the long run. Unfortunately, there was a couple of speed running tricks and glitches I did try to do that just never really panned out for me. So yeah, those were the 3 things that really screwed me up in the beginning half of this entire speed run. Now, my first taste on how intense this insanity mode was going to be was right here at the start with Leon. And that was because of this one zombie right here. She was built like a tank, which gave me the understanding that every other zombie here was going to be built like a tank. So because of that, I decided to be a bitch and just hide up on the side and just running through.
Shit. Oh, fuck. Let's make this quick.
Now, moving over to Grace section, I felt a little too confident going into this section because I saw a few speedrunning videos on how to get through this section quickly, and I thought, hey, I could try to replicate that. And unfortunately, I could not replicate that. I'm gonna be 100% real with you guys. My heart was racing the entire time. This is why I love this section, because of this right here. Even though I played it multiple times, I'm still, having my heart race and panic and shit. Now, switching over to Leon, I was kind of concerned going forward, being that these guys are pretty tanky. And unfortunately, the only thing that really screwed me up here was the fact that I didn't let Leon finish, sharpening up his axe. So unfortunately, he met his ultimate demise. So taking a second shot at this, I actually did pretty good on this first wave. Now coming into the second wave, I realized that maybe the chainsaw was not going to be my best friend during this playthrough. So I made the decision after this point to never pick up that chainsaw again, because it caused me more trouble than what it was really worth. Now going back to Grace, the only thing that was my main agenda the moment we, took over her was to do the initial save so I can get this one trophy popped and get that one out the way. Now, grabbing that overconfident feeling I had once before and running with it, I did pretty well for over 30 minutes. Granted, I had to be a little bit more cautious around certain areas, but this Requiem had infinite ammo, and I wasn't scared of shit. I handled all the gray section here with ease and with elegance and with charm.
Break.
What also didn't help my overconfidence was the fact that when we got to the big Chungus fight, as I like to call it, I did my best, struggled a little bit, but I wiped the floor with his ass.
One eternity later.
Now, because I was so overconfident with my skills, or therefore lack of skills, I went into this next section thinking I was a boss-ass bitch, until I was proven otherwise. Yeah, during this insanity mode run, I learned it doesn't matter how much infinite ammo you have. If you're not good at parrying or good at putting those sons of bitches down within like 2 seconds, you're not gonna make it very far in this game.
Every single time.
But after a couple of tries, we finally managed to get past this section and carry on with Grace in the basement section. Now, getting into the basement section, I was a little worried about how rough this was going to truly be, but let's be for real here. Having the Requiem makes things so much easier. Also, I did learn a few speedrunning strats, so I was able to quickly get through point A to point B to point C really, really fast. Like, I was very impressed with how fast I was able to get through this entire section. But not only that, we were able to quickly get our asses out of the care center, make it to that other building near the helicopter pad, and quickly get through that section without any problems whatsoever. I, again, was very, very surprised by that, but I was like locked in. I'm not going to deny that I was locked in. So I felt very good and very confident yet again moving forward. Like I said, for the past hour, I was like locked in tight. Like I was just so hyper focused. I was on the go. I wasn't fucking up. Things were going great. And then I hit Leon's section with protecting Grace from the rooftop. And I made a bit of a blunder here. A very simple blunder, but a blunder nonetheless. Basically, I straight up walked right by the ammo thing and did not pick up the rifle at all. So I tried to play without the rifle, and unfortunately, you need the rifle. And I learned that one the hard way. So after resetting and grabbing the rifle, we were able to take care of this section pretty easily. I'm going to be honest, I always struggle during the rifle sections because I'm not the best with the rifle. Granted, I will admit, after this insanity mode run, I think I got a lot better with the rifle. But yeah, I will be honest, I'm not the bestest with the rifle. I'm more of a shotgun kind of guy, if that makes sense. Now, moving towards the church section, I had an inkling of an idea that this was definitely going to be rough, being that it is such a small boss fight arena and everything's on fire. I thought I was going to struggle with it, and yeah, I was kind of right. I did struggle. I struggled just a little bit, but I struggled nonetheless.
Three days later.
After a while, I'm starting to see a trend in this insanity mode where I hit a rough patch where it takes me maybe an extra 10-15 minutes of resetting before I finally get the hang of the particular boss fight. And then I'll have an entire section of about maybe 10 to 30 minutes where nothing bad is happening and I'm on point with everything. Even though I had a feeling that it was going to be rough, it turned out it wasn't so rough after all. And funny enough, this is one of those sections where I was worried like hell that this was going to be rough, but again, I learned a few little speed strats, but I did compromise with a little bit of what I was comfortable with because there was a couple of people who were doing it in a particular way where I just wasn't confident enough that I could pull it off because I need the safety of the light. I was too scared of being mauled to death by the girl. So I was a little bit more cautious here, but because of the speed running strat, I did kind of breeze through this section without any problems, to be frank. Now, getting over to Raccoon City with our homeboy Leon, things actually went pretty smoothly. I was a little worried about the spider fight. I have to say, overall, I think I handled myself pretty well here, and I really didn't have an issue until we had to go into the warehouse. Now, with the warehouse, I was not prepared for the damn spawn of those freaking, what are they, BSAA agents, DSO, I don't know, but they got machine guns, and they are mean. They hit with a punch. I don't like them. I didn't like them in the section on the rooftop. I don't care for them here. They're like one of the enemies I cannot stand. Luckily, I only failed the one time, and once I figured out where they were spawning in at, I went in, took care of business, and just kept moving on with my life. Now, after grabbing the piece we needed from the rooftop and making our way down to the garage section, I ran into another dilemma, which was straight up this tight-ass boss fight down here. Actually, hell, you can't even call it a boss fight. It's just an annoying fight because it is such a small area, and the fact that I'm trying to do it in a hurry doesn't help. And then I got the big blobby guy and then the blister heads. It got very rough for me for a second. I'm not gonna lie. Unfortunately, after this particular fight, it was a dead given idea to me that the good times I was having back at the Care Center were probably gone at this point because things began to get a lot rougher for me. And I'm not going to deny this, I started to get a little bit more petty. Case in point, when I entered the gas station, I literally reset just because the dude got a cheap shot on me.
Damn it.
Yeah, I was a little mad at that cheap shot and the fact that Leon straight up missed that shot. Like, I'm like, dude, he's right in front of you. How did you miss? I don't know, but the insanity started sinking in at this point. But moving on to the actual gas station fight, I had a good time with that one. I always enjoy this section, and it's just simply because the dude comes at us with the chainsaw right out of the fire, and it's such a badass moment for me. I'll always love it. Now, remember how I said earlier in the video that I had a temper tantrum at some point and I ended up deleting some footage accidentally? Well, this upcoming next part is one of those pieces of footage. I don't know how I managed to delete this one. Again, I know it was a bit of rage because I struggled like a son of a bitch in this section, and I'm pretty embarrassed at myself and pretty pissed at myself for deleting this footage because it was a struggle and a half to get to these sons of bitches, okay? And it's mainly because of these two assholes right here. These two. Nobody else. Everybody else I handled just fine. But these two, oh no, no. Oh God, I hated it. I hated it with a roaring passion. But I did manage to get past this section. Unfortunately, like I said, out of a fit of anger and rage, I don't know if it's this particular night or later on, because there is a boss fight that just triggered me so bad. I went into a fit of rage and it didn't help me finish my run in the manner I wanted to finish it, and it intentionally screwed me up. But we're going to get there at some point. Trust me, we're going to get there. And I'm sure you already have an idea which boss fight I'm talking about. So moving on to the next section where we're basically pulling a Cloverfield here. I was in a new form of frustration I never felt at this point. So I am now so hyper focused. I'm making sure I'm wiping out everybody that's in my face. So I don't have to worry about them sneaking up on me during this section, because I know for a fact that there are not one but two guys with machine guns here, and I was already sick and tired of them from earlier. I was not about to deal with them now. So moving on to this next section, I was feeling this intense rage within my bones, especially with dealing with the rooftop demons up there. I was just not in a good mood. Also at this point, I think it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't really remember. I think it was 2 o'clock in the morning at this point. Point is, it was late, I was getting aggravated, but I was still on a motherfucking mission, so I wiped out everything on this rooftop. I probably could have played this a lot better by speed running straight through it, because you can just cheese it by going straight through it and not even worry about a damn thing. But I wanted to let some aggression out. I'm surprised how much my aggression carried me through this entire section, because I don't think I would have made it through here normally without that aggression. Like, I struggle on just, standard mode in this area because just a lot of chaos, a lot of madness going on. But again, it was the aggression. The aggression was leading me strong in this section. And I did very, very well. I'm not going to deny that. Granted, again, does help that I have the unlimited ammo, so I didn't have to worry about managing my bullets or crafting anything. Now, getting past that section and blowing up the bridge and having our Mario Kart duel with Victor Gideon. We managed to make our way to RPD, and I quickly ran through that. It was barely an inconvenience. Met up with Grace and Xenon in this section. Then we proceeded to deal with the little girls section where we get to play as Chloe and run to the orphanage. Now, I quickly ran through this. The only time I stopped to take in the scenery was during my favorite jump scare. But after that, I was able to quickly run through, take care of all the shenanigans, and then we finally dealt with Mr. X, ran through the building, and then got the fuck up out of there.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks.
So guys, y'all know how I said earlier that I got so frustrated at one point I started deleting files by accident? This was that moment. This was that moment. This boss fight was that moment. I struggled like a son of a bitch during this boss fight because I was just not prepared for the bullshit. I'm gonna be 100% real. I thought infinite ammo made me a badass. No, I was not prepared for the amount of bullshit in front of me. And because I spent so much time just running by things, I didn't really have a lot of money to work with. So there was part one of the dilemma. Part two of the dilemma was the fact that it was literally 4 o'clock in the morning when I started this boss fight. It took me 2 hours to get past this son of a bitch. I'm not even lying with you guys. That is why I deleted so much footage by accident, because at a certain point, I was literally starting the recording, maybe getting past the first 30 seconds of the boss fight. He got a cheap shot on me. I reset. And that kept happening over and over and over again. I got so hyper focused on destroying the son of a bitch that I lost all track of time. I lost all track of my space, my wonder, my childhood gleam. I lost it all. I just went full throttle, and yes, I made it, and somehow I made it by the will of the motherfucking mission. Seriously, take a look at this shit. Do you see that life right there? Do you see how little that life is right there? That is what I like to call the will of the motherfucking mission. Now, I will admit, I may have wasted a little bit of time to go save, but like I said, at that point, when I got done with the boss fight, it was 6 o'clock in the morning. I was tired. I didn't care about wasting 30 seconds. I just wanted to go to bed. And that's exactly what I did. Now, I was not looking forward to this next section because I knew this next section was the damn plant section. Surprisingly enough, though, I made it through here pretty easily. Like, don't get me wrong, I struggled during the initial tunnel section where we were making our way to the boss because I got surprised by this motherfucker. But yeah, other than that, I made it through here without a single problem whatsoever. I handled the boss like a champion.
Just so you know, I've killed every planet on the Earth. Stubborn, aren't you?
I was feeling good. I was slowly getting my energy back, especially after the night before. I just was on it, especially after I looked at what time it was, and it was close to about 3 hours at that point. Unfortunately, the hopes and dreams came crashing down because of this section here. And it's the elite team squad that we have to deal with. Now, the first 3 guys in this room, not too terribly bad. You know, it took me a minute to get them, but I did eventually get them. Unfortunately, the next room was the one that had me pulling my hair out because of this one motherfucker to the left. I kept either missing him entirely or not thinking about him until he was running across and he went to go hide. Now, that wouldn't be such a big deal if once I got on the grate, he didn't freaking shoot at me. But like I said, I was on a time crunch. I was getting annoyed, and this room was just not helping because this was another 45 minutes down the drain for me. Eventually, I did get it, and I celebrated with a good shaking of my hand because seriously, I was shaking. I was shaking by the time I killed this last licker. I didn't think I was going to be able to manage it, but I did. Now we all know what section is next. I completely didn't even think about this section after I got done with the elite squad members because I thought, hey, it shouldn't be that bad. I can handle this, right? He's got a few tricks and flips and all that fun jazz up his sleeve. How bad could it be, right?
I didn't realize I had such a big fan. How about an autograph? I heard you were a sweet ass. Not bad for someone at death's door. Worried about me. How sweet.
I blame the lack of sleep on my mindset here, but you know, I was feeling okay going into this fight. So about 30, 45 minutes into this fight, then I started to lose all will to live. All right. I started literally contemplating my entire existence at this point because I was trying everything. And unfortunately, I couldn't do it normally because I didn't do the leveling up right when it came to the hatchet. Unfortunately, I forgot to level up the power, so by the time I got to the room, I could only level it up by 1. Second problem, I didn't have enough heals for this situation. I then tried a glitch method. The glitch in particular I tried was the one where you have to toggle the buttons around where the attack button is now square and then the analog stick is barely pushing it and you're running forward. And within a few microseconds, a few frames, if you could spam it just right, you can get that kill on Hunk instantly. I do believe, unfortunately, on the PlayStation version, that particular glitch was patched out. I do believe it was patched out because I tried it for 15 minutes. I was having a full-on PTSD flashback when it came to this Hunk fight because I was just thinking back to the Mr. X boss fight, and I thought about the 2 hours I wasted doing it, the lack of sleep I was running on, and I'm going to be honest, the insanity mode was given this name that particular moment, and I snapped, and I did the unthinkable. I used the infinite rocket launcher.
I didn't realize I had such a big fan. How about an autograph?
I heard you were a smartass. Not bad for someone at death's door.
Worry about me. How sweet.
Now let me explain before you start throwing the tomatoes at me now. Why did I grab the infinite rocket launcher? Because it was the only weapon I could think of that I had at my disposal that I could use just to get past this goddamn boss fight. If it makes me a bitch for using the infinite rocket launcher to get past Hunk's boss fight, then I guess I'm a bitch yet again. After that long and exhausting boss fight with Hunk, I was pretty sure I was almost screwed with time. But luckily, I still had roughly about 45 minutes to spare. But again, I was really feeling the pressure because I still had to get through this Grace section here, the rest of Leon's section, and then, of course, the final boss fight. But we'll talk about that later. Right now, let's talk about how I royally fucked up here. I completely forgot about the fact that Grace didn't have a gun. I was so used to using the Requiem and the infinite ammo, I completely walked by Grace's gun at some point, didn't even pick it up. So she did not even have a gun in this section, and I was just like, oh, hell no. No, 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 no. So I went back to the menu, and I bought that gun for Grace, specifically for this section because I messed up yet again and forgot to grab anything that was weapon related. I mean anything, because I also didn't grab that thing Grace could craft that causes them to explode because I didn't think I needed it during this particular speed run. You see what I'm talking about when I said that when I'm under time constraint, I really don't perform all that well? This is one of those situations I'm talking about because the fact that I was running through everything, I completely missed some stuff that could have been extremely helpful for this section here, so I had to pay for it with my little point. So I was able to handle these lickers and this one guy pretty alright in this section without a care in the world. And also when we had to come back through this room again to grab the orb,
Gotta find more ammo.
this motherfucker has some reach. Now, my main goal in this section was to slowly lure everybody out and just deal with them one at a time the best I could. without pissing off too many of the lickers. Because I know with Grace, when it comes to the lickers, she is like a dandelion to these guys. There's one little move and her life is either barely hanging on by a thread or just completely gone. There's no in between when it comes to the lickers attacking Grace. So I wanted to be a little bit more cautious and precise with this shit and just handle this without any problems.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Now moving back over with Leon, like I said, I had the rocket launcher, which made this entire liquor room a hell of a lot easier because I didn't have to worry about them surprise attacking me or anything like that. The only thing I truly had to worry about was the distance between me and them and making sure I at least landed on them. Funny enough, I know there's a lot easier way to deal with this room now, but unfortunately that doesn't help me during the editing process. I could have used that information while I was playing the Insanity run. But for now, unfortunately, I had to use the rocket launchers just to make it past all these sons of bitches because I didn't feel like dealing with none of these guys at this point. The tiredness was kicking in and the crankiness was definitely at a high and the rage was definitely even higher than that. Unfortunately, the rocket launcher was not the best weapon to use during this last little section here because it being such a tight room. There's also no guarantees that you're going to hit your marker, and these lickers being that they bounce everywhere like on the ceilings and jump around and try to maul your face off and all that fun jazz like they're a tiger in the Amazon. So after attempting it at least one time with a rocket launcher, I did my normal attack in this room and then I just kind of rocket launched the rest of these guys just so I could catch my breath a little bit quicker. Now, getting to the final boss, I saw what time it was, and I had roughly about 30 minutes to play around on this final boss.
I'm sorry. We don't give a fuck.
Well, now that that's over, how about we go back to my place for a bowl of my favorite cereal, Count Chuck.
So yes, I took the bitch way out and ended the game so I could end for the night because I was tired, I was exhausted. And with that last chime, we officially gotten Resident Evil 9 100% completed the Platinum Trophy in our hands. We did a decent job overall. Now, I know it was probably not the most exciting video you've ever seen when it comes to platinum of a game, but I am proud of it myself because A, like I said, I've never done a platinum run on Resident Evil now, and B, the fact that it took me 3 days to get this done, and I actually feel accomplished once I got it done. And like I said multiple times throughout this video, I do plan on playing Insanity mode normally at some point, but that's a story for a different day. So let's go ahead and start wrapping things up for today. I hope everybody who has watched, is watching, will watch. I hope you enjoy. I hope everybody has a fantastic and wonderful night. And guys, don't forget, if you enjoy the Resident Evil content that I have put out or any of the other fun, fantastic things I've done here on the channel, you know what to do. You know the per-usual drill and all that fun jazz. And hopefully I catch y'all on another fantastic and wonderful episode here on the channel.